Well, welcome to, which session is this? Session number 9. Oh, 9, I can't believe it. Anyway, we're so excited. I'm Coni Meyers with Kickbutt Leadership, and this is my co-host.
I'm Kim White with the My Sexy Business team.
And we have a little technical announcement before we go any further.
Yes, for some reason they're doing some, well, I don't know what they're doing. I won't even pretend like I know that part. But last session, we were interrupted. They said that the internal servers had gone down. And so whatever that means, we had to do the last session in 2 parts. So if something happens and we go off, please stay on the page and refresh because we will be back. We did 2 parts last time, and we're willing to do however many parts it takes to keep this rock star on this session going.
Definitely. Well, this is the Kickbutt Leadership Live Conference, and it's been a fabulous conference, and it's just about to get better. The lady that's coming on has an amazing, but simple book called Girl, Get Your Shit Together. And the first time I saw her on an interview, and I said, I have got to interview this lady because I love that title. And so I reached out to her, and we got together, and I did an interview for my books with her. And now she's had articles, and she's been featured in O Magazine, Entrepreneur Magazine, Fortune Magazine. She's been in NBC and what?
I think
Forbes.
Not yet. Not yet. Okay.
She's been in NBC.com. I mean, she's just been all over the place and doing phenomenal with her book. I want to introduce the one and the only LisaChastain. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Hi.
I feel like we need to have a big band going on here.
Let's dance.
There you go.
That's right.
There you go.
I love it.
Lisa, I just can't tell you. I mean, you have really impacted, both of our lives, and you are impacting so many people's lives. You're just an incredible leader. So my first question to everybody is, were you a leader as a child?
Yes. Yes. Although not by adult standards or by accomplishment, but people gravitated to me and threw me out in the front as early as I can remember. The first memory I have of being acknowledged as a leader was when I was 12 years old. I was an inline speed skater, and our team was competing in Fresno for a competition. So they piled us all in the Suburbans, took us out to Fresno, and it was about 9 o'clock at night. And the parents we were all in different hotel rooms, but all the kids were in the same room. And they said, Lisa's in charge. We'll see you tomorrow. And I was like, wait, what? Why am I in charge? So it was pretty early on that I saw others coming to me to step up. And then it just continued through high school. I was freshman class president, sophomore class president, junior class president, student body president, captain of the tennis team. It was a snowball from there.
Not surprising.
Yeah, that's not surprising at all. And I'm sure they knew exactly who to choose to be the leader and to put in charge. So of those skills that you learned as a child, what are the skills that you now use in your adulthood?
All of them. Every single one of them. Whether we realize it or not, the experiences that we have as children shape and mold us as the humans that we are today, the adults that we are today. They teach us how to make decisions. I reference point different learning experiences as a leader, painful ones and successful ones, all of the time. And mostly they've taught me resiliency as a leader. And honestly, they calm me down in times of chaos. I can be in very stressful situations and keep a level head because of all of the previous experiences I've had as a leader. I can pull out different experiences and say, okay, I'm going to be okay. I got through that. I can get through this. And so it's a pretty cool way of looking at it, I think.
So what has your journey, your path been like from a 12-year-old to now as far as your leadership?
I think that most, like I said earlier, most importantly, I've learned how to be resilient as a human being, resilient as a woman, and get through tough situations without losing it. I think that referencing, there was one point in my life where I had to learn how to take some pretty unfun feedback and through decisions I'd made, learn how to take responsibility for those when I didn't want to. Good example is even when I was awarded homecoming queen, half of the stands booed for me. They didn't want me to be homecoming queen, and I had to learn how to show up, step up, be there, no matter what was coming my way. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's just what popped in my head.
So you just came out with your book. What was your background?
For my book?
No, what did you do prior to writing the book?
Oh, well, my first career was in higher education. I spent 12 years growing through the higher education system as a first undergraduate recruiter. So I got to travel all over and recruit students to the university. I was just saying to somebody today that single experience really helped me in every area of my professional career. I had to learn how to speak publicly. I had to learn how to get outside of my comfort zone and go talk to teenagers. And then from there, I became an academic advisor. And I left the university in 2011 as the director of advising for the Honors College, where I was advising. Our college was about 500 students that I was responsible for. So that's where I started as an advisor. And then I left UNLV, stayed home for a few years, had a major meltdown, personal meltdown, identity crisis. And when I came back around to saying, what is my purpose? What do I really want to do with my life? It was help people with money. And so I became a financial advisor in 2014. I started working for a private wealth management firm. I got my Series 65, which is pretty much the equivalent of a law degree and an MBA for finance. And then I started advising pre-retirees and retirees. Did not fit in the industry for a lot of reasons. I felt like I was out of alignment for who I wanted to help on this planet. And I was honestly failing as a financial advisor, which statistically only about 8 to 10% of financial advisors really end up making it in the industry. Very tough industry to become successful in. And I hired a coach. I said, I have to figure this out. I know I can be successful. I just don't know why I'm not being successful here. And in 2016, I got clarity that it's because I was working with the person that I wasn't. I meant to work with young women. I meant to work with millennials. I had been doing it for so long. And so that's when I opened my company in 2016, and the book followed right along after that.
So you touched on success versus failure. I know one of the areas you wanted to talk about was success versus failure.
Yes.
How did you approach failure at that time? I mean, a lot of times we take failure and get stuck and it sets us back. How did you work through failure, and how did you view it?
I've never really been afraid of failure. I'm a go for it kind of gal, where I think probably because I did experience success a lot, I took the failures and rolled with them and learned from them. So at that point, that was the biggest failure that I had experienced in my life to date. I watched my entire life blow up, and I felt like I was right in the middle of it, experiencing it and being an active player in it, but also not knowing how to control it. The train was off the tracks the way I saw it. My marriage was failing. I had blown through $100,000 in the course of 3 years trying to figure out how to be successful in this industry, how to make my marriage successful. There were a lot of things going on. But the failure in and of itself didn't stop me. It was that I was using it as feedback for me saying this isn't working. And so I'm failing, not because I'm going to stop and feel sorry for myself, but I have to figure this out. And this is my feedback right now saying I am not on the right track for whatever reason. And so that propelled me to keep looking, keep asking, keep digging, keep working. ultimately to find success, which I didn't really understand what that looked like at that point in time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
like the thing you just said there, that the failure, you use the word feedback for it.
Yeah.
Instead of a failure, it was feedback.
Right.
I
Right.
love that.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So I think that when we really recognize that failure really is a course correction or feedback on how we can do things differently and what is not working, then we can concentrate on what is working.
Right.
During that period of time when you were going through those struggles, did you feel like another thing that we're going to talk about is happiness versus success? Did you feel like you were coming from happiness, or were you? What was your? A lot of times we feel like we need to work harder in order to be successful, and that's going to make us happy. Was that how you were feeling, or were you feeling like you wanted to be happy, you just didn't know how to get there?
At that point in my life, so I would say that the biggest turning point in my life was between 2013 and 2016, those 3 years. I had to intimately investigate my relationship with success. Like I said, I had experienced success so much in my life, so young in my life. I have awards all over my house from how I was being recognized by the external world. I had, of course, been awarded different awards through high school, all through college. I was Student of the Year at UNLV, awarded my senior year. I was awarded Advisor of the Year at UNLV, like these high honors. But my whole identity was wrapped up in these achievements, which at that point in my life, I thought were showing that I was successful. But I did a Facebook post about this yesterday. What I realized is I had built my life pretty much on a straw house. And it only took one windfall to knock it all out, because they were superficial things that I was using to define what success was. In my book, I tell the story about, I have a Rolex watch on right now. And I said, I'm going to take this to my grave, because this is how I define success at 28, 29 years old. I had the house, I had the kid, I had the husband. He was on the upward trajectory in his job. I was on the upward trajectory at mine. And then it all blew up. And I had to look at what happiness is internally. And for me, when I started to do that and reshape and reform my life, that's what my book is about, is how do you get grounded? Girl, get your shit together. Stop looking at these external things as motivators, because nothing will bring you happiness other than what is important to you. What's important to you, and then how do you make financial decisions in alignment with that? So that took that whole journey for me, I think, to experience that failure to ask the deeper questions.
I don't think you could have led anyone if you hadn't learned that. Like, if you hadn't gotten that feedback, you wouldn't be able to impact the thousands of lives that you're impacting now, because you wouldn't understand them. You wouldn't understand the other side. I love that.
I had to do my own work. I had to get in the mud and get icky and be in it. And in order, and I know that now, I can tell somebody genuinely and authentically, follow me, it's going to be okay.
No, I love that, because I think that really is the core of everything. I think that that's what happened to me when my husband passed away. Mm-hmm. That I thought I could go right back to my old life, and found out I couldn't, and I had to create this new life. And what does that look like? And I think when you go back and you look at where you are and what you need to learn, then you become authentic, you become genuine. Mm-hmm. And that's when people want to follow you. That's when they truly want to be a part of your life. So talk a little bit about your book, because we both love your book. Love it.
And I need to preface the book thing with, if you want to hear Lisa's voice in your head, read the book. Oh. Because I still cannot mindless shop without hearing her in there, talking to me, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do that.
That is a dream come true for me, to hear that. It really is. I get messages like that all the time from women who have seen my videos, who are reading my content. It's really, really an honor.
Well, and I have to tell you, this is kind of a funny because I realize I'm not your avatar. I'm not your target market because I'm 51. I'm not a millennial. But I laugh at the impact you're having on the rest of us also. Like you are having a greater impact than probably you have any idea on a lot of people that may not even give you feedback. They may never come back and say something. But here's the thing that you also taught me the last interview we did was I'm not on a budget. I'm on a strategic plan.
Mm-hmm.
Had I not read your book, had I not already started like facing some of my things,
Mm-hmm.
then I would not have probably even crossed over to that. And I think that's part of the sexiness of your book is that people can take it wherever they're at in life. I mean, I can pretty well do whatever I want at this point in my life. I can pretty well, buy whatever or go wherever, all of that. But you're not talking to people who just don't have anything and they're trying to scratch their way out. You're actually talking to people who have quite a lot, the millennials included.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
That need to have that plan for their money instead of just waking up one day and going, oh, I just blew through $1 million.
Right. Correct.
And I think what you said to her in that interview of changing the mindset, because changing just the word you use, like instead of using the word budget,
Yes.
using the word strategic plan, that totally changes the internal dialogue that you have with yourself.
It totally does. Can I give you a good example of what happened to me this week?
Yes. And
Please.
I'm sorry I interrupted like you talking about your book. I'm just so excited about what I've learned from it.
That's the magic. That's the magic of this, is that I honor you because you took the time to hear what I have to say. And now somehow I've made an impact and we get to invite others to have the same experience. And that's the magic of it, I think. Ultimately, why everyone should write a book is that we get to share a part of ourselves that we may not otherwise. So I'm the end. That's it. What I was going to say, though, is my story about the strategic plan after we had that interview is that a lot opened up for me as well. And I found myself driving earlier this week saying, well, what is my strategic plan? Because I know I'm on the path to create a lot of financial abundance in my life. And my coach and I were talking about it. She said, okay, here's your next milestone, which is to make $250,000 in a year. And I was like, what would I do with that? Because I have limited myself, because I have limiting conversations about even my own money. And once I blew the lid off of that, saying, well, what would I do with $250,000 a year? My brain got to work and I was like, oh, it'll go here and I'll do that and I'll look at this and I'll be this and then I'll be making $1 million a year. So my whole mindset shifted into, wow, look at all the opportunity that can be created from that. And now I know I'll attract it because I'm so much clearer. I have a vision attached to what I'll do with it. And that's the value of having a strategic plan, is that we can build and build and build and make the pathway to the universe open so that we can actually receive it.
Well, I wanted to touch on the fact that even changing your mindset, like I have lived on a budget. I live like a certain way because I want to do certain things.
Correct.
So I have been like on a plan, but just changing that word from a budget, which is restrictive, and you pointed that out. It's like almost a lack word.
Correct.
Versus the strategic plan of, because I am going to do these things.
Correct.
And I think that you're exactly right about that. Opens us up inside first.
Yes.
And then it opens us up to be able to receive it. Because, if you are scared of money, or you are scared of how you will handle money, I'm going to tell everybody I know that they need to go talk to you, because that's you. I mean, you are the money coach. You are the one that can help people get past their own silliness to do it. But you don't have to be, I guess I just want to keep pointing that out. It's not something you're trying to teach people who have lack in their lives.
No.
people that have a lot of money and expendable income, but they're wasting the opportunities, like you said, of being able to make something where their money's making them money all the time.
Absolutely. And these are deeply rooted conversations. We weren't just born we weren't born this way. These are experiences we inherited from our families, from our families, from the environment, from the neighborhoods we grew up in. There's a lot to break through, but we have to be willing to step into it so that we can get through it on the other side. This is how it showed up for me, and this is the value of a great coach. Is a great coach in any format, any arena will ask questions to get you thinking differently. And I know when I was building my business as a financial advisor, I said to her, well, if I only make $30,000 this year, I'll be good, because I was comparing it to what my husband was making at the time and what I really needed to make. She goes, why would you ever limit yourself to $30,000 a year? And who watching this does that click, where we limit ourselves by our language? And so it's so powerful.
Well, one of the things that I learned in doing my research for the class and everything is that we constantly, everything we do, our subconscious is maybe having an entirely different conversation.
Correct.
And that's why it's so important to do mindfulness techniques and things to help us get into the present moment, be able to figure out really what our subconscious is saying. Mm-hmm. And a real simple trick along those lines, and I just thought about it when you were talking, is that if we just change the word from and to or and celebrate successes. So like if you were to say, well, if I make $1 million and I am in perfect health and I am, eating properly and I've got the perfect relationship and if you just change that simple little word from and to or, I will be successful when I make $1 million, or I have the perfect health, or and you break that down into smaller pieces. So like your goal for $250,000, that's your vision, and you break it down on into goals. And I'll be successful when I do this or this or this, and that helps to change the brain. It helps you to move forward so that you can, that vision, you're stepping into it with every step along the way.
Correct. I love that.
And I think we'll blow past that quickly. Just to be honest,
yeah.
I think once you get your mind right about things, and once you are open to that, it's almost laughable a year from now, because you're like, I thought I would be able to do this, and I did, 10 times that.
Correct.
And so I think you should think bigger still, even right now. Just, you don't have to work towards it goal-wise and pressure and all of that. But I think, what would you do with $2 million? What would you do with those? You need to be thinking about that, I think.
I already know.
Good.
I already know. I set my intention very clearly when I opened this company, because, I really left UNLV in 2011 telling myself, I remember that exact internal conversation saying, I will never work for anyone again. And I get that now I work for my clients, and now I work for something much bigger than myself. But I just knew I was not going to ever go back into a corporate setting, even though it was higher education. And I put Oprah on my first vision board. She's on my second vision board. I have another vision. I mean, my mind is set on, I will attract the abundance that I want in my life, not for me, but to help others in the world and have an impact. That's my strategic plan, is impact.
You're definitely an influencer.
Thank you.
I think the fact that you've set those visions for yourself, and we talked about this with Jody Friedman, in that, there's people out there waiting for us to step into our vision so that we can help them and impact them and support them in their visions. Mm-hmm. And especially when it comes to money, that is a huge, everybody can always use, I don't care how old you are, can use the support of somebody that is guiding us. and your book and your content that you put out and the information you put out is serving millennials. But I'm a baby boomer, and you've already impacted my life. So congratulations on everything you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks for being in my tribe. I just think that you're both phenomenal women creating amazing results in your lives and for other business owners. And so I'm grateful to be here.
I have one last question for you.
Okay.
So you live by gratitude. That's very obvious that you live by gratitude. What would you like when it's time for Lisa to move on to something different, or maybe she passes? What would you like legacy? What would you like people that sentence that people say about you? What would you like that to be?
I aspire for people to leave my presence, whatever way that is, feeling loved, feeling important, feeling heard, and that they matter. And so for someone to leave my world, again, whatever that looks like, and feel like they matter and that they are possible, that what they want is possible, that is what I aspire to every single day.
Beautiful. That's really beautiful. You know that Catherine Hepburn has a great saying about possibilities. It's that there's no such. It's not impossible, because the word itself says I'm possible.
Yes.
And I that's exactly what you're talking about. Everything is possible. So, well, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. I just love our conversations and can't wait to have more with you, because you're doing such amazing work. And congratulations on the huge success for your book. I mean, the last time I saw her in person, she didn't have any books because she was selling them so fast she had to reorder. So I'm just really, really happy for everything that's happened today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to come back on and talk about another juicy topic. I know because I don't live in fear. I just make decisions even though I'm afraid. I'll have some other great stories for you about failure, I'm sure, coming up.
Feedback and course correction.
You know, I would love to come back and talk about risk, though, because when you take risks, you have to be open to both success and failure, because one of them is going to happen. It just, when you risk. And so that's part of the game.
Well, that will definitely be our next conversation.
I think that's why you're my flavor. I always laugh and say I've never actually jumped off a cliff, but I cliff jump every day.
Every day. You're all right.
Well, yes. Thank you so much for being on with us. And I'll be back in Vegas next week, so maybe we can get together.
Okay, would love that. Thanks.
All right, my dear.
1:30 Central Standard Time.
1:30 Central Standard Time is the next interview, and it's with Cheryl Knowlton, who is a dynamo, just an incredible person. So come back at 1:30 Central, 11:30 Pacific, and I am Coni Meyers with Kickbutt Leadership.
I'm Kim White with the My Sexy Business Team,
and this is all a part of the Kickbutt Leadership series. And there's an online class. If you want to check it out, please do. There's actually a free assessment, so you can assess your leadership skills, and we also have a special offer going for the class. So go to Kickbutt Leadership if you want to check it out. .com. We'll see you soon.